You've always trusted your instincts, always relied on your body healing. Oh, and you've always thought information could never physically harm you. Well, these 10 SCPs destroy every single one of those assumptions. Starting off, have you ever had a creative project that you absolutely could not stop working on, even when you knew it was destroying your life? SCP-012, a bad composition, would like to make that feeling mandatory and also add some blood. This thing looks like someone started writing sheet music and then got really frustrated and gave up halfway through. It's just an unfinished music score written in what turns out to be human blood, sitting there looking incomplete and deeply annoying. The moment you see it, your brain decides this piece of music absolutely must be finished, and you're definitely the person for the job. Doesn't matter if you can't read music, can't write music, or have never shown any interest in music whatsoever.
I have no choice.
The only ink that works for this particular composition is your own blood, and quite a lot of it actually. So you start small, maybe pricking your finger with whatever's handy, but that's not nearly enough blood to finish this whole song. So you graduate to bigger cuts, deeper wounds, more creative ways to get that red ink flowing. The really helpful part is that the music itself is mathematically impossible to complete. Every note you add just creates more empty spaces that need filling. Every measure you finish splits into 2 new measures. It's basically homework that never ends and requires you to slowly bleed to death. People have been found days later still frantically scribbling notes in pools of their own blood, completely convinced they were just a few more measures away from finishing their masterpiece. Some cut off fingers to use as better writing tools. Others opened arteries to speed up the ink production process. The music they wrote was apparently quite beautiful, right up until they bled out trying to perfect the final moment. SCP-953 has really embraced the whole organ donation concept. She appears as an attractive woman with 9 fox tails, which should probably be your first red flag that this isn't a normal girl. But she's very charming, very persuasive, and has some very specific opinions about your liver. Boy, trust me, if I was there, I would be screwed. Let's just say that. 953 believes your liver would be much better off outside of your body, preferably in her stomach, and she's willing to perform the extraction surgery personally. No medical degree required, no sterile environment necessary, just her hand going straight through your abdomen to grab what she wants. The procedure is remarkably efficient. One quick thrust, grab the liver, pull it out, done. The whole thing takes maybe 3 seconds, which would be impressive if you weren't the patient experiencing it without anesthesia. What makes 953 particularly considerate is that she doesn't just take your liver and leave you to die immediately. She keeps you alive long enough to fully appreciate the craftsmanship of what she just did. You get to look down at the hole in your stomach, see your liver in her hands, and really process the whole situation. She also enjoys variety in her work. Sometimes she'll torture you psychologically first, making you watch while she does terrible things to people you care about. Other times she'll use her shape-shifting abilities to look like someone you trust right up until the moment she reaches inside you. The Foundation notes that 953 particularly enjoys irony, which I hate, obviously. She might appear as a doctor offering to help you with your stomach problems, then solve those problems by removing several organs you were actively using. She considers the whole thing performance art, and you're both the canvas and the audience for your own final show. Down in the Bay of Bengal, SCP-3000, Anesthesia, I don't know how to say that, Anesthesia provides public transportation services for anyone brave enough to go swimming in its neighborhood. The route is simple. Outside the eel, inside the eel, no return trips available. 800 kilometers of angry sea serpent doesn't ask where you'd like to go or whether you've paid your fare. You enter its area and you become a passenger. The boarding process involves getting swallowed whole, which eliminates the usual hassles of finding your seat or storing your luggage. Foundation divers discovered this transportation method the hard way. 1 minute they're collecting samples, and the next minute they're experiencing rapid relocation to the interior of something that makes blue whales look like goldfish. Once you're aboard, 3000 provides complimentary digestive services while you're still using your organs. The stomach acid starts working immediately, but the real premium feature is that you stay awake to appreciate the full breakdown process. No, there's no sleeping through this flight. The eel also includes psychological entertainment during your stay. Hallucinations, memory problems, and general confusion about where you are and what's happening to you. Some passengers have tried to signal for rescue during their journey, but most are too busy being slowly converted into nutrients to operate their emergency equipment. The few who've been extracted report that the experience feels much longer than it actually is. And it all ends when you've been completely processed into fish food, at which you are dead. But next up, SCP-726. The reconstructive maggots run a freelance body modification service that nobody requested and everyone regrets. Their business model involves taking perfectly functional humans and turning them into their personal interpretation of what people should actually look like. These maggots have zero formal training in human anatomy, but they make up for it with pure enthusiasm. They approach reconstruction the way a toddler approaches a jigsaw puzzle, and they just try to jam the frickin' star thing into the square hole. It doesn't work. Stop it. The makeover begins when they decide your current body design has serious flaws that need addressing. They burrow in and start rearranging things according to their own aesthetic preferences. Maybe your arms should be attached to your back. Maybe your head needs to be twice as big. Maybe you'd look better with 6 legs and a proboscis. I don't even know what a proboscis is. Your skeleton gets restructured based on what the maggots think look more practical. Your organs get relocated to spots that make more sense from an insect's perspective. Your skin gets converted into something more suitable for laying eggs and digesting rotting meat. Because why not? The whole renovation happens while you're conscious and aware, so you get to feel your identity being edited in real time. Your thoughts start changing to match your new body plan. You develop strong opinions about garbage as a food source and begin seeing decaying matter as prime real estate for your future offspring. By the end of the process, you're technically still alive and technically still you, but you're now ugly and also a fly person hybrid who thinks vomiting on food before eating it is perfectly normal behavior. The maggots consider this an improvement. Your family and friends may have different opinions about the new you. Moving on, we have SCP-082. And he thinks he's French royalty named Fernand, which would be charming if he didn't also think casual cannibalism was appropriate dinner conversation. Picture your most awkward family dinner, except your uncle weighs 700 pounds, stands 8 feet tall, and occasionally pauses mid-sentence to bite someone's head off. Fernand maintains excellent manners throughout these incidents, often apologizing for the mess while picking human teeth out of his molars. The Foundation keeps him in a reasonably comfortable room where he can practice being a polite cannibal king. He'll chat about the weather, ask about your day, compliment your outfit, then suddenly grab your arm and shoo it off while maintaining eye contact and nodding thoughtfully about whatever you were saying. His timing is impressively terrible. You might be having a perfectly normal conversation about your weekend plans when Fernand decides your skull looks very yummy and just goes for it. No warning, no dramatic buildup, just, oh, that sounds lovely. Crunch! And suddenly you've got teeth in your skull. Fernand treats these outbursts as minor social hiccups rather than, actual cannibalism. He'll continue the conversation afterwards, sometimes using your severed head as a ventriloquist dummy to help you finish your sentence. He finds this deeply amusing and considers it good manners to let you complete your thoughts. I find this deeply unsettling. The really considerate touch is that he always thanks you for the meal afterward. Even if you're still technically alive and watching him eat parts of you, he'll express genuine gratitude for your contribution to his dining experience. Staff reports indicate he particularly enjoys philosophical discussions while slowly consuming someone's torso, treating the whole thing as dinner theater where you're both the entertainment and the refreshments. Pretty messed up. But SCP-354, the Red Pool, operates the world's worst lottery system where every ticket wins and every prize involves getting murdered in creative ways. This thing sits in northern Canada looking exactly like what it is, a pool of blood that occasionally spits out nightmares for your entertainment. And if you don't know anything about northern Canada, you shouldn't. There's nothing up there. Like a few people live up there and it's mostly forest and trees. I'm from Canada, nobody goes up there. And honestly, Canada's hell anyways right now. So, I'm literally trying to record this video and we had this massive heat wave for the last 2 weeks and I'm physically sweating in my office trying to record this. I've got a whole AC unit blowing on me I had to buy because it's too damn hot to record videos. So if you hear anything, I am sorry. It's hot, it's really hot. I'm stressed, it's been a long week. Anyways, the pool. You never know what's coming next, which would be exciting if the prizes weren't all different flavors of violent death. The Foundation has documented 17 different monsters emerging from this pool, and each one brings its own special approach to ruining your day. Maybe you get the giant bat that slices people in half. Maybe you get the invisible killing machine with the blades. Maybe you get the tentacle monster, wink wink, that drags you into the blood pool for a very, very important lesson. It's basically a grab bag of horrible endings, except you can't choose your bag and you definitely can't return your purchase for store credit. The pool decides what you're getting, and what you're getting is something that always ends in you being dead. One time it produced a black metal sphere that swept laser beams across an entire facility. instant slow roasting anyone who happened to be standing in the wrong spot. Another time, it was a 15-foot reptile that went on a rampage until heavy weapons finally convinced it to stop redecorating the containment area with human remains. The really thoughtful feature is that 354 never produces the same monster twice, so you can't prepare for what's coming. No strategy guides, no walkthrough videos, no helpful tips from people who survived previous encounters. Every emergence is a completely fresh surprise that nobody's figured out how to handle yet. The pool keeps its schedule completely random too, so you might get 3 monsters in one day or wait months between deliveries. It's suspense-based customer service at its finest. Moving on, congratulations, you just learned about SCP-1128, the aquatic horror. Hope you weren't planning on taking any baths for the rest of your life, because that's off the table now. Here's how this works. Reading about 1128 marks you for a very special experience the next time you get in any body of water deeper than a puddle. Bathtub, swimming pool, that fancy hot tub you were saving up for, doesn't matter. You're now subscribed for an aquatic nightmare. The moment you step into water, you get teleported to an endless ocean where something huge and invisible is having you for lunch. Your friends watching you bathe will see you thrash around screaming about monsters that aren't there, then vanish completely. They'll be left staring at an empty tub, wondering if you finally lost it or if reality just decided to stop making sense. Meanwhile, you're busy experiencing the world's most immersive shark attack simulator in a place where the sharks are the size of buildings and completely invisible until they bite you. The water is freezing, and there's no land anywhere. And something that sounds like a freight train having a panic attack is circling underneath you. Some people have been pulled out of this aquatic nightmare by emergency procedures, but they come back missing chunks and completely convinced that every body of water on Earth is now a portal to that nightmare ocean. Bath time becomes psychological crisis. Swimming pools turn into anxiety attacks. Even drinking water gets someone anxious. The really helpful part is that just knowing about 1128 is enough to trigger this whole sequence. No physical content required, no special rituals, just information. Knowledge is power, and guess what? You know about it now. But that is not an excuse not to shower. Some of you be stinky. Please take your showers, people. It is ridiculous. Why? Moving on though, we gotta talk about SCP-153. They're called the drain worms, and they've solved the internal problem of slow bathroom service by providing instant, comprehensive plumbing solutions that nobody requested and everybody regrets. These things live in your pipes and wait for you to get comfortable in the shower or sit down for some quality toilet time.
That girl 50 years ago, she died in a bathroom.
Then they surge up through the drain and demonstrate why you should never trust anything that comes from the sewer system. The worms themselves look exactly like what would happen if someone crossed an earthworm with a lamprey and gave it anger management issues. They're several feet long, covered in hooks, and they've got mouths that can dissolve metal drain covers, which should probably be your first hint that this isn't a standard plumbing issue. When they attack, the whole thing happens fast enough that witnesses only hear a brief scream and some wet slithering sounds before you disappear down a drain that's definitely not big enough for a person to fit through. The worms handle the logistics of that size problem by making you significantly more compact during the extraction process. What makes them really scary is that they will spray you with acid and ground glass while pulling you down, so you're being dissolved and shredded at the same time. Yeah, it's like basically a live garbage disposal. The Foundation recommends checking your drains regularly for unusual activity, but honestly, by the time you notice something's wrong, you're probably already being converted into worm food in the sewer. The whole attack takes under 10 seconds, which means your morning shower routine just got a very tight time limit. The survivors report that the worms make terrible roommates and have zero respect for personal space or basic human anatomy. All I'm thinking is, I would not want a lamprey attacking my ass. That's not good. Moving on, we need to talk about SCP-015, and this is called the Pipe Nightmare. Here's how it goes. You walk into this warehouse with a wrench or any tool that suggests you might want to fix something, and the entire building takes it personally. The pipes don't just leak or make noise when they break. They actively conspire to turn you into abstract art using whatever happens to be flowing through them at the time. Touch one pipe and suddenly every piece of plumbing in the room starts erupting at the same time. Maybe you get scalding oil spraying at pressure washer intensity. Maybe it's mercury shooting out fast enough to punch holes in the walls. Could be molten iron, could be glass shards, could be a swarm of angry rats who are just as confused about the situation as you are. The building seems to have unlimited creativity when it comes to horrible pipe contents. Foundation reports mention everything from human entrails to salt water to substances that probably don't exist in normal reality. you're getting the dealer's choice of whatever's coming out of those pipes. But here's the really considerate feature. The pipes don't just spray you once and call it a day. They keep erupting in sequence, creating this elaborate death trap where every step you take triggers new fountains of horrible stuff shooting out face level. It's like a very aggressive sprinkler system. The building also grows new pipes specifically to impale you while this is happening. Fresh metal spouting from floors and walls, sharp enough to pin you in place so you can't dodge the next wave of mystery substances aimed in your general direction. Yeah, it's not a fun time. Lastly, we gotta talk about SCP-3288. The aristocrats, and they've elevated fine dining to an art form where you're the guest, the main course, and the entertainment for the evening. These things used to be European nobility, before centuries of inbreeding turned them into something that looks like what happens when you let a toddler design people using only nightmares as reference material. Also, they're British, so they're already nightmare inducing. Guys, it's just a joke. You can make shots back. It's fine. Extra teeth, weird proportions, arms that are way too long. Basically, aristocrats, but more honest about what they actually are. They've maintained all their fancy dining etiquette despite becoming cannibalistic underground monsters. Cloth napkins, proper silverware, multiple courses served in the correct order. It's very civilized except for the part where you're being eaten alive throughout the entire meal. The aristocrats practice what you might call interactive dining. They don't just kill you and then eat you, they remove pieces of you course by course while keeping you alive to appreciate the craftsmanship of each preparation. Maybe they start with a finger as an appetizer, or move on to a hand for the salad course, and then work their way up to major organs for the main event. They even use their inbred medical knowledge to keep you conscious and healthy enough to survive through multiple courses. Can't have the main ingredient spoiling before the meal is finished, can ya? That would be poor hosting. Also, how does being more inbred make you smarter? Maybe they're onto something, but probably not. Alabama, you go test that stuff out, you guys do your thing. We'll find out in 100 years. Between courses, they'll chat with you about the weather, current events, the quality of the meat they're currently consuming. They treat the whole experience as a dinner party where you're both the guest of honor and the buffet table. Very sophisticated, very European, very dead. The meal typically lasts several hours because proper dining takes time and rushing through your food is considered terribly rude, even when that food is you. So there you have it, 10 ways to die where healing doesn't work, passing out isn't an option, and death doesn't actually end anything. These are some of the worst nightmares I have ever read about. If you like this video about SCP deaths, make sure to like this video and subscribe. And comment down below what other videos you want to see from me in the future. And if you want to watch more of my content, click the video on screen now because it'll be another good one.